Hi, everybody. It's Black Spring with Autumn here. Hope you guys are doing well out there. It is your Thursday, and I decided to come to you from the couch. So yeah, I think I did mention that I would do a few more streams from the couch. So if you guys don't mind, but yeah, I hope you guys are doing well out there, and just want to do a little bit of commentary. This has been quite an interesting week. Um, But I do want to talk a little bit about, to me, I guess maybe one of the latest things, and that would include Mitch McConnell. Mitch McConnell. But the thing about it is that that's not. It won't be a first. What I'm going to bring up is not going to be a first, because we've seen some similar activities happen with other politicians before, but you notice how the media will pad, they'll put the narrative out there and they'll just kind of keep spinning it. They'll try to they'll try to develop it, or they'll try to reinforce what they want to be out there, what they want to, because the average person is not really looking at these things. If you're still looking at these things in like a carnal kind of matter, you're still looking at these things just from a red versus the blue team kind of a bit. We've had these conversations before, but you know, uh, you know, shout out to Mr. Pearson on his channel, because it's one thing about it when you have a group of politicians standing before a group of people. Hi, Marty Lauderdale. Hi, Melinda. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. And you have most of those senators were male that were standing there when he's making this address. He's trying to get ready to make an address about an NDA. But then all of a sudden, this woman approaches uh, NDAA. Uh, all of a sudden, this woman approaches, and um, she's wearing a green suit. Okay, um, she's wearing a green pantsuit, and it's a very peculiar green. But Mitch McConnell certainly, can I say freeze, or what I might want to use the word, can I use the word glitch? Because that's kind of the thing that I wanted to talk about. We've seen there's another politician that's kind of glitched up before, and that was Nancy Pelosi. And this was, I think, around the 2020 elections, in which she was on with George Papadopoulos, and I think she was talking about, oh, we got these quivers in our arrow, and she was having a conversation. She was engaged in a dialogue, and all of a sudden, it goes to good morning, Sunday morning, and the look on George Papadopoulos's face was just, it's like you he was buffering, you know, with that response. Um, Hi, AZ Infidel. This is, I'm just saying, but I was gonna bring that to you guys from studio, in studio, but do they think that the average person is just gonna say, "Oh, well, yeah, that was a medical event"? He wasn't. I mean, was he? To me, he wasn't showing signs of, there, for lack of a better phrase, for all my medical people out there, professionals out there. He was stroking out. I mean, he wasn't foaming at the mouth. He didn't appear to be clammy. But to me, he did. He seems like he had some type of whatever. It's almost like when this woman in the green showed up, it was almost like she, some people say that suggest that she touched him allegedly, but it was almost like she gave him some type of clue or cue. It's like she gave him a cue, and it's almost like he stepped. It's almost like he made a motion, and then he was done, and he was like frozen or whatnot. But it's definitely, people have mentioned the handler thing. Like I said, but I'm telling you, it's not. We're looking at patterns here. I think that's what my main thing is. There's a pattern, and I don't know who's pulling the strings, but it just seems like, and even, you could almost say the same kinds of things about Biden. The amount of falls that he's had, and yeah, falling up the stairs. Yeah, and then the word sandbag gets thrown out because I even saw what was one of McConnell's responses to a question about what happened to him. He was like, "Oh, I got sandbagged," but then I noticed that when Biden had a fall during somebody's commencement ceremony, he mentioned sandbags. So to me, there's another language. There's a whole nother language that they're dealing with, and to me, there are cues in there. Um, So yeah, but interesting, right? And this entire week has been quite interesting because what is it? The Obama chef drowning. I don't know how tall that guy was, but but it's also allegedly in one of the reports that I read that it was 8 feet of water. Um, it those circumstances to me are a little bit hairy. Okay, I'm just saying this has been an interesting week. And to me, it's only going to get more interesting. And you also know, somebody else pointed this out, that a certain person's birthday is on the horizon. So what is it? Today's 27th, right? 27th. So we're almost a week out. A person's birthday is 7 days from tomorrow. Put it in the chat if you know whose birthday that is. Because this is looking a little bit bizarre. Like, if you start pulling these numbers and these days, together, how many days, did that happen before, because I've heard of even a lot of these bang bang situations, they're, that it's an exalting kind of, it's being allegedly, it's suggested that there's sacrificial things that are going on. So I'm just saying you're 7 days out from that individual's birthday. So I think things will be, who knows what can happen, because we've already had a lot of bizarre things happen already. And yeah, the fact that his birthday is next Friday, and this guy and this personal chef, I swear, who knows? How are we dealing with the body count here? What is going on? What do you guys think? Let me go through some comments really quickly. But yeah, I just think this has been an interesting week. The next stream I'm going to do, I will talk about some of the things that are going on in terms of like the smash and grab rashes are back. And of course, California is a part of it because CVS and Walgreens were struggling several months ago. I'm talking more than 12 months ago, more than 24 months ago, because of the little law or whatever that they made it. What was it, 950? I think if you were under 950, that you couldn't be held to a strict penalty. So there's things going on there. Walgreens is taking some measures right now because I'm telling these people are not going to be able to survive if they've got hand over loss. They're not. They're not. They'd already moved a lot of CVS's and Walgreens had closed in a lot of places in which the elderly community was going to suffer because they actually need those pharmacies areas in there. They need those areas because most of them are not drivers. And it was close to their communities. So we're going to see. AZ. Let's see. I got Marty Lauderdale says, "Oh, I'm glad you're reviewing this. I just saw this stuff with the lady in the green tapping McConnell's hand." But do you guys realize? But see, to me, it's almost when I look at that, going back to that, it's almost like they're showing us, it's almost like, is it possible that these politicians, is it possible that they've already received some type of chip, for the lack of a better word? Is it possible that they're already being controlled? Um, maybe maybe it's far out there, try not to hurt anyone extending, but maybe it is. When they get you mess up and they get you off, or either, seems like there's been other occasions in which somebody would screw up and they just pull the plug on them, or they just, yeah. And who doesn't have it, is, I guess, is the bigger question. Um, but I'm beginning, like everything else, maybe they're not leading by example, but they're leading by, a quest for power. They're inspired by power and influence. And if they say, hey, if you do this, this, and this, we're rolling it out already, you'll be more tuned and tapped in, if you're partaking in this right now. So let's see. Marty, hi, Derek C. Williams. Oh my gosh, Derek, shout out to Derek C. Williams. Please put your plugs and whatnot in. And that goes for everyone in the chat. Yes, because there's so much going on. I kind of wanted to opine on the, I know I'm kind of going away from the McConnell thing, but from the Chippy. But the thing with LeBron James's son, I don't know. See, I guess I wasn't under initial impression that they were doing a number on that these Hollywood types were under influence or pressure, but I'm starting to realize, well, apparently they are, or apparently they've been released from something that they are talking about it now. Because if this was the case, they weren't saying anything, they weren't complaining about it at the time in which they were being, they weren't doing that when they were being coerced into this whole thing. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't follow LeBron James. I'm not a fan of his. So, but I feel bad for his kid, but I just, I'm not surprised. And a lot of these Hollywood types are suffering from, they've already made sacrifices. So what's one more? That's what I'm saying. It's not a surprise to me, but I guess they had there was a mandate, a special mandate for them. And I guess you lost out if you didn't participate on some level. But to me, they're already lost. So you can't really, you know what I mean? There is a way, but it's not on my, it's it's more of a spiritual thing that they need to deal with at this point. But more things are coming out about that. I've got some things that I want to share on it. But there's one person in particular that his story is been all over. He's been suffering from it for the longest, and he's never going to say it. And Derek C. Williams knows exactly who I'm talking about. Mr. Sanders. And to me, he's going in for surgeries regularly for blood clots. But I wasn't, to me, I don't know, when it comes to the medical community out there, when it comes to blood clots, I was never really under the impression that they could actually remove multiple. But because I'm going to tell you, from what's happening to Mr. Sanders, it's almost like it's moving, his triggers or his afflictions are moving closer to the internal or the vital internal organs. Is, you know what I mean? I'm just saying, I'm not under I was never under the understanding that you could actually remove blood clots. I thought it was more or less those. Well, for women, that's something you have to pass. You have to pass a blood clot. That's the only way. I've never known anybody, I've never heard of that before. Shout out to Derek C. Williams here. So, I don't mean to be, it's not my domain, but I'm just saying it. I just found that to be a little bizarre. But who knows? Who knows? We'll see what happens. All of this is one to watch. All this is one to watch. Let's see. Hazy says, I wonder if closing the pharmacies has anything to do with culling the elderly population 2 years ago. Well, that's a good point. Because, see, and then here, I'm going on another tangent right now. I'm going to tell you, I'm quite behind on some of the movies, but I watched Demolition Man for the very first time. And I'm telling you, that particular movie is so, to me, we're so close to that. But when I think about, what is it, I've seen the Mad Max or Thunderdome or whatever, there are always these outer worlds, or they always had these portals, or these, sewer type portals. You remember the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles? Everybody's either got to go up above or you got to go down below in these movies. So when I saw Demolition Man, and basically what they're trying to get, to me, that was predictive programming. Extreme predictive programming. I'm just saying they're trying to get close to that. But I tell you, the cities that will be the smart cities to me will be the cities up top. And then I think the lower cities, the cities where you have savages and people that, that like to think, or people that believe in boomsticks and freedom seas and that kind of a bit, they want to create two worlds. They want to create their kingdom, and then anything else is just going to be below that. But see, here's another thing, and I don't mean to play the race card, but even in Demolition Man, it's funny how even the black guy was, to me, like, okay, you're using the black guy. He was a criminal in the first part of the movie, in the in your futurism, before the futurism set in the movie. Stallone was after him, but because of the casualties, Stallone got, the cryostasis confinement. But then this guy, what was it? Wesley Snipes actually was the black guy, Phoenix. He was the one that he was after in that movie in the beginning, before the futurism set in. And then by the time the futurism set in, the year 2032 on the movie, Phoenix had been programmed to do whatever, anything demonic and terrorist like. And I just found it's interesting that, but I feel like they're using black people like that right now. They will use them to destroy, to influence, but even train you while you're in captivity. You're not being rehabilitated. You're actually being trained to be less law, quote, abiding and criminal like, so that you can carry out their agenda. They're not doing it because they think you're great and it's a humanitarian effort. They're doing it because they're advancing the evil, the agenda, the power that they seek. They need to use someone to get the absolute power. But there were so many parallels in that movie. It was stunning to me. Like they talked about how certain Taco Bell was the only restaurant to survive the franchise wars. So do you guys see, like, I think stuff like that, I think we're dealing with that now. And it made me think about that when AZ mentioned something about the pharmacies there. But I'm just wondering if that's what, a lot of things are going to go out of business. They are still closing large stores. They're closing a lot of stores. And most people don't, the average person is not paying attention to things that are closing. But perhaps there is a franchise war out there. And it includes the pharmacies. And the fewer people, the less people that are able to get access to their medications or whatnot, what do you think's going to happen? You're already having to wait. They already blaming it on the supply chain. So this is like a perfect storm. Let's see. Ay, ay, ay. Derek C. Williams says, Simon Phoenix, a renegade. He says that Simon Phoenix was a useful idiot in the final analysis, and he didn't even know. Absolutely. That's what, right on the dime, Derek C. Williams. So like I told you guys about all these black women that they're using. They started out with the what was it, the four women, the squad or whatever, and then from there they went all black. They went to Kamala getting into her space, then they went in, then they had the Cori Bush to come along, both of them heavily abortion agendas. The next one was Ketanji Brown. You got somebody going to the highest court of the land, but she can't even define what a woman is. And to me, that's some spiritual stuff. And then you just keep going. You just keep going. Now you got KJP, Colleen Jean-Pierre. She can't answer any questions for you. She gives you hits. She gives you resources, much like a Google Assistant or much like a Siri. So I'm thinking, this country's real stuck on symbolism and illusions. So I think the very next thing will be, that's why I feel like there's some signaling going on here with these glitching politicians. Because maybe you're going to be conditioned to deal with the glitches when this next first comes up and it's of AI. Okay, let me get in here. I'm sorry about that, guys. Melinda says, called about my Medicare, and the lady asked me if I still drove. Derek C. Williams says it's going to be like that in banking. Smaller banks are being absorbed every day. Excellent, Marty Lauderdale. And then AZ says Bank of America pulled out the branch in the small town I am near. All we have is a drive-up ATM. Derek C. Williams says she's a black gay woman and an idiot. Yeah, she just, there was somebody asked her a question about there being no trade deals. Well, then she goes right back, well, when this president came into office, he made it very clear that he was doing X, Y, Z, and Z, and Z. It's like, come on, lady. It's like they're saying, what's for dinner? And you're saying, well, he went to the grocery. He mentioned what he wanted to get, for groceries the last time. But where are they? Where she doesn't answer anything. She's very much, to me, she's predictive programming. So I think we're being the predictive programming is in real time right now. But there's a ton of stories. In fact, I think there's even a story out there about Harris mentioning depopulation. Does anybody have that link? Did anybody catch that this week? Let's see. Shout out to everybody that's in the stream. I really appreciate it. I don't know, these people with Freudian slips or whatever you want to call them. I'll have to check out because I think she's another one that has a handler. I think Kamala Harris is not allowed to. I don't think she's allowed to yap a whole lot. Hi, Gorilla K. How are you? Okay, so there's a gaffe. Here we go with the gaffes. Kamala Harris says U.S. must reduce population to fight CC in the latest gaffe. All right. So then, of course, they said, oh, Kamala Harris's reduced population gaffe sparks anger at conspiracy theories. Newsweek. So we'll get into that one. That's probably a whole nother meal. But, she knows what's going on because everything I've told you guys, everything coming out of Washington is SDG. And, they have a goal, whether we still have the Georgia Guidestones or not. A few weeks ago, we talked about how the UN was saying that they only had 7 years. And then you got Corona Chuck in the UK running the doomsday clock. So it's definitely real. Let's see who else is there. But yeah, I'm just thinking AI is definitely running away with this thing. They are running. So let's see. Okay, I missed his comment. Derek says it's called biodistribution. The spike protein in the goes everywhere, which is why you see. Yep, yep. Well, and there's not to mention that according to this, Biden quietly has established an office of an OPPR. So it's going to be preparedness, pandemic preparedness. He's created an office for that, more of a permanent office in the White House. So it's very telling, very telling. Marty says, if anyone wants to order any antibiotics, do so ASAP. There's new law supposed to be going into effect to ban OTC animal antibiotics without vets. Okay. Gotcha. Good information. Good information. Per usual, Marty Lauderdale. Excellent. Thank you so much, Derek C. Williams. So I'm going to definitely share that out. Probably the next in studio stream, I'll get into some details, and I covered that story where Pelosi was glitching after the 2020 during 2020 elections or whatnot. So yeah, I have that, but yeah, I have it. And then I had another interview with her and Wolf Blitzer, but she's glitchy on a regular basis. So I wouldn't be surprised if these people are not. If they're not, if they're not techied up, if they're not, if they're not wired up, or yeah, and it's like these people come out of nowhere. It's really bizarre. When somebody kind of comes out of nowhere, that's to me, it's kind of it's a trigger. Say like, what's going on? Who's this? What are you doing here? Those kinds of a bits. Marty says the antibiotics are supposedly exactly the same as those for humans if they have the same markings on them. So yeah, just kind of chatting it up. Like to me, when I do these couch little sessions, usually I'm just I want to touch on something a little bit. I want to comment on something, but I'm also not opposed to, getting into a couple of things or, you guys sharing whatever you have at that time as well. But like I said, the next time I do the next in studio stream, I'll get into some specifics and I'll definitely share the Pelosi glitch. I'm sure you guys will remember that. But yeah, but I'm saying I think there's more to come. It just seems like there's something. To me, the blackout issues or what I wanted to being in the Southeast. I think I went someplace. And they said the lights were out. There was no power. So there's more talk coming out about the power grid, which allegedly, I've gone over some of that before, that they allegedly have resolutions and all this talk about doing something about the power grid, but they never actually do. Okay. But in California, of course, blackouts are not uncommon at all. Okay. They're not. All right, Melinda, thank you so much for coming in, which I'm not going to take up too much more of your guys' time. I was just trying to dropping in to see, because I'm just thinking we're getting previews of AI and what can happen. I think we're getting a preview on what's possible, and people that might already be under the influence of such, whether it's a marking or whatever, what's happening to them. So yeah, let me just say hi to everybody, and then I'm going to get out of here. And then, like I said, I'll come back, with a much, more extensive stream. Let's see. So Marty Lauderdale's here. Melinda came in. Thank you so much, AZ Infidel. as well as Derek C. Williams. Let's see, Derek C. Williams says maybe not chipped, but corrupted indeed. Yes, they're definitely. Yep. Twitch, twitch, twitch. Let's see, what else? Kente, man. I'm not sure if you're new here, welcome in. And then there's Derek says he said he did his research, quote, did his research, end quote. This is the same man that looked silly when asked about his reading of Malcolm X with book in hand and knew nothing. There you go. There you go. Yeah, for sure. And an AZ Infidel is here. Thank you so much. And Gorilla K. Thank you guys so much for coming in. I really appreciate it. AZ says, let's see, hold on. Yeah, well, I would like to talk a lot more about what's going on with the CV-19, the aftermath, because it seems like at the particular time this stuff was being rolled out, some people had, there were some allegedly like 3 years, like a 2 or 3 year window in which we'd start to see the effects of those who had actually taken it. Some of them is more torturous and drawn out, and for others, they've had a quick snap and they were out of here. So, I think we're going to keep seeing, these athletes are dropping, news reporters are dropping, sudden deaths. But see, the CDC's actually released a report, and that was another stream that I was going to do. They've released another report. And I noticed that I saw Ice Cube on an interview with Tucker Carlson regarding that, talking about how much money he lost, which, yeah, like I said, no matter how much people idolize these people, they don't live in the same world that we live in, and they don't play by the same rules. So I never sit here and liken myself and say, oh, well, they can't imagine what they're going through. They're going to lose their jobs. I never put myself in that. I never went into that frame. Derek C. Williams says the pandemic has waned, and now it's just death and disability. Climate change. Yes, it is. It is. And that's why I think the new LD will be based on that. Which they're trying it already, these air quality conditions and all this kind of stuff. In fact, I think some of the fog lights are coming on the car. If you have like automatic fog lights, some of that stuff is coming on because of the air qualities issues. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead, and I appreciate you guys so much. But like I said, I'd love to talk more about the mocktail. But there's still, you can call some of these pharmacies, and that's still the first freaking option on the freaking phone tree, is if you're calling to inquire about it, then press 1, or, like, well, no, please, why are you guys still occupying so much space over this? Why are you still doing that? So we'll see what happens. We certainly will. But yeah, check it, check it out. I mean, I think everybody's seen McConnell by now, but he's not the first one, and he's not going to be the last. And we'll get into some of these other things on a live in-studio stream. That's what we'll do. In-studio stream, live stream. So, all right, guys. So I will be, so also if you haven't had a chance to check out Canopy Harvest, I am working on that. Had a little bit of a snafu here and there on my phone, but I'll certainly be coming back to you guys. Yes, I will be coming back to you guys. Maybe we'll see what happens tomorrow. But yeah. All right, guys, take care. And if you want to share, if you have anything you want to share with me, feel free to send it to me at blackspringwithautumn@gmail.com. Okay. Have a great rest of your Thursday evening or Friday morning. I don't think anybody's quite to the Friday morning mark yet, but have a great evening.